Hey, what's up, guys? I am testing. I'm just testing a new setup right here. I've never actually used StreamYard. Oh, that's loud. It's muted. Oh, because I have my monitor on. Cool. Well, there we go. I'm testing a new setup to see if this actually works. Internet's good. I know that. I don't know if this computer can handle it, though, doing a live stream with all of my applications open. So that's why I'm curious if it can host. But I guess StreamYard doesn't actually host, which is cool. I wish this technology was around 10 years ago when I used to stream every single day. But anyways, and I could always just boot up my other machine and stream off of that. But I wanted to just do an impromptu live stream, and I might actually record this and then post it on my channel later, or maybe re-record it. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and yeah, it is pretty legit. Thank you so much for hooking it up, Dave. Like, that's really huge. So from what I know, we can only record in 720. We can only record in 720, but at least it's a start. It's somewhere. But yeah, so in this little hour, I'm gonna just stream for about an hour till about 1 o'clock today. But it's a little hour. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to showcase how I did this right here. And I'm preparing this for visual effects. So I'm actually gonna destroy the grounds and how I got the texture onto the geometry. So I'm gonna cover how to do a track in Nuke, a Matchmoving Nuke, and then a camera projection in Maya. I usually do the camera projections here in Nuke, but for this particular project, I needed to create a texture, so I did it in Maya. So this is going to be pretty cool. I'm just going to hang out for a little bit before we get started. But yeah, dude, some of this stuff is pretty cool, by the way. I like how they have like built-in background music, and then you can add your own background music. Like, how cool is this? That's wicked. I like that. This is way better than what I used to do. I used to have a license to stream with Spotify, but obviously I don't pay for that anymore. And I used to stream on Twitch a lot, mostly gaming content, but I also would stream some art content. That I told some friends that if I ever get back into streaming, I'm only going to do art content. And so if I do, which this is a big check to see how to do it, that's how we will do it. So, hey, Rodrigo, how's it going? I only posted this, by the way, on my X account and a few friends on Discord and a few friends here. But the stream is locked into 720. Let's wait to the next year. Yeah, that's fine. I totally get it. And my only concern is in visual effects, especially with my UI scales. It may not show up well for viewers at home, but yeah. But yeah, we'll get started here in a few. A little, like, for those of you that don't understand, like what you guys are seeing right here is a projected texture of the grass, which I'll show you the shot here in a few moments. But basically, it's just a projected texture of the grass. That way I can use this texture in Houdini later when I destroy the ground. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. That is so cool. I got to update the branding because right now it still has all this like blue stuff, but I didn't want to touch it though, because if I update the branding, I'm worried it would overwrite my my brand, or your branding rather. So, but the banner stuff is pretty cool. Yeah. Also, I'm just using my laptop mic. I did not even bother to go set up my other microphone. So you guys are probably hearing a bunch of kids playing. That's because I have a school outside my window and I have my window open. Whatever, I don't care. Really loose, not so professional stream. My old streams used to be so professional. I'll go dig some of them up, man. They were so professional. This looks a little different than mine, but we can check it out. Yeah. Well, if I do Micah's from earlier, it actually takes your profile picture from your account, which is pretty cool. So I like that a lot. And I do like this quite a bit, actually, being able to pull up really easily. I wonder if you can map these to macros and use like an Elgato. That's what I used to use, but I think the quality is on the lower side, but it is what it is. I like this a lot. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. StreamYard, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, especially for educational content. So Yeah, dude, I actually won't lie. The laptop mics on these are pretty good. So they're pretty good. You're refreshing your page to see if it would go up. You can use a Stream Deck or things like it to have hotkeys for what you're talking about. Yeah, I used to use a Stream Deck, and I have a couple of Stream Decks. I have some stuff in storage still that I did not throw away when I got married. So we'll see if I dig it out and if any of it can be of use. But I'm going to be getting a new desk, and I'm going to be doing a standing desk, which will be better for streaming. And then I do have to get set up in here, but I have to actually ask my wife how, like, we don't live in the biggest of places. So I just need to ask my wife what we can do. If I was still living on my own, I could care less, but I used to have this as a TV studio. Anyways, all right, let's just go ahead and get started. I just want to do a quick walkthrough and just see how this stream holds together. But for this shot, I'm doing this as a tutorial series for the YouTube channel. So if you are not familiar with my channel, definitely check it out. I post a lot of visual effects content on the regular, and mostly tutorials and mostly education, but I'm starting to branch out a little bit, doing more React stuff and doing more Q&A for the industry. My mission and my passion really is to help the younger artists. I firmly believe that everybody on this earth has the ability to create, and sometimes that creation may look a little bit different than others, but everybody has some level of creativity, and my goal is to help you guys discover that. And so part of what I do on this channel is to help you guys realize that. So anyways, let's dive in. This is what we're going to build to today. But what I want to do is I'm going to jump into Nuke here. And I had a request on my channel on how to match move, how to track, and how I use Nuke to do that. So full disclaimer, I actually don't use Nuke that often anymore. I'm actually using Synthesize a lot more. I got access to Synthesize a couple years ago and I've been using it ever since. I think Synthesize is a lot stronger, but not everybody has access to Synthesize. Not everybody has access to Nuke either, but not everybody has access to Synthesize. So I figured I would stay as platform agnostic as I can, but also in as few platforms as I can use. So I already took the liberty of taking my soldier animation and actually making a plate. So whenever you're doing match moving, my first advice is to make sure that you guys split your footage into plates. So let me go ahead and back up a little bit here. VFX projects. I have a lot going on, as you guys can see. But I have my footage here, and we're going to be working on shot 5, and I have my high-res PNG. I'm going to use this one, so we'll do that one right here. And I'm only going to do 108 frames. Why 108 frames? Well, I kind of just picked 108 frames. Before I get too far, let's go ahead and set my project settings. We'll do an HD 1080, and let's set this to 108 frames, or 109 frames, 0 to 108. Nuke likes to work from 0 to 108. So just be aware that when we go move to Maya, Maya likes to work from 1. So, but anyways, if you play this through, this is footage that I got from Action VFX from their free practice footage library. So that's why it's only 1080. I'm only using the 1081. But if you wanted this in 4K, you can subscribe. It's not that expensive. You can check it out. But anyways, Action VFX has been posting a lot of stuff lately that's really useful for newer artists. So to promote them on this stream, you should just go check them out. So anyways, so here's the shot cashed out. And I picked this one because it's a relatively easy track. You're flying over, and we've got a lot of things to track here. And I thought how cool it would be if I had a dinosaur come out over here or something. And what I decided to do was grab our crag from Houdini, and I imported it into Maya. Now, this tutorial, I'm not going to actually showcase this. In the final video, I probably will. But what I wanted to do was do a quick breakdown of this. And one of the cool things of doing a live stream, if you are watching this live and you have questions, type it in the chat, and I'll try and answer it as we go. Whereas you can't do that when I'm doing a recorded video, right? When I'm doing a recorded video, you have to comment. So the benefit of a live stream is that you guys can actually see the step-by-step, and it's live. I'm not editing this. So let's check this out. All right, so I have my read note here, and I already had set my project to 108 frames. Make sure you're set to global here. If I go back to input, it's going to go back to that 209 frames. That's just too much for this one. So one of the things I'm currently doing is I am rotoscoping this guy out. So I'm not going to do that here. This is for match moving. So But I had to rotoscope this guy out. So in another video, I probably will showcase that. But to get started here, what we can do is we can do a camera tracker 3D, and we'll just place that sucker down here. But we do have an inherent problem, and that's because in this plate, we have an asset that is moving separately from the environment, and that would be the dude, our little soldier here. And so because of that, I need to actually go and mask him out before I do anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit O, and that brings up my roto node here. And since I set my project setting, this should to the size of this image, this should be no problem. But if you don't set this, you got to go back and make sure that you set this so that it works properly. But now that I have the roto node up, I'm actually just going to pipe it in, make my life easier. Let's go ahead and just switch this to only 3 property windows open. I'm going to close that, double click, and then by default, if I just start clicking, I can create a mask. So we'll start on frame 0. And let's go ahead and just start masking this guy in. And I'm just going to do a quick garbage mask. Try as loose as you can, but also don't go too loose because we want as much data and information in our frame to track. So by default, we already get a keyframe. I'm going to go to 50. Let's just go ahead and just put this guy into it. And then we'll go to 108. And then I'll start filling in frames as needed. So that's good. All right, let's go halfway. That looks good. And the reason why we're doing this is because we don't want track marks on this guy. Nuke is going to try and track all the color information in front of us. And so we want to set it to where it doesn't track everything. So just do this really quickly. Just scrub. Hold it right there. Come over here. This is where I'm going to have to do most of my work because the camera moves and he moves quite a bit. So and no, you're not going to want a very tight roto. So it's not worth coming in here and trying to roto the entire guy outright and then trying to fix that. It doesn't actually work that way. So all right, so I have the roto. I'm going to go ahead and save this before I forget. So we'll do soldier match move demo. I'll say the nuke script. Cool. Now let's dive into the camera tracker. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to come over here to my settings, and I want to preview features so that I can see the features. And you can see right off the bat, we're getting a feature right on the guy, and we don't want that. So just be aware of that. But I'm going to drive the features up to, let's say, 1500. It's quite a bit, actually. But for this one, it makes sense. We want as much data as we can, and my computer can handle it. So it's not the end of the world. We could probably go even higher. We could probably go, let's say, 2500. Just get all these track marks going. You can have some density in some of these leaves. Just be aware that because the leaves are moving, the trees do move here. You're going to have some issues. And but I actually was able to get a really solid track. So we're just going to keep trying this the same way. But I want to take these track marks out. And so the best way to do that is to now come over here to the mask. And I'm going to hit source. Sorry. I'm going to hit oh, hold on. I know why. Go to source alpha, come back here to roto alpha, and we want to make sure that we output with the alpha. So output alpha, pre-multiply alpha. These two settings will give us what we need. And there we go. You'll see all the track marks have disappeared around our mask that we created. And so now I'll come back to frame 0. I can go ahead and just run a track. But before I do that, I want to do an unknown lens because we do have lens distortion here. So I want to take care of the lens. I do not want to undistort the input. We'll actually undistort it later. We do have linear motion, but I'm going to leave it on free camera, unknown constant. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I'm not sure what kind of camera they use. I mean, I can go and do the research, but we'll just see what we get with these settings. I'm going to hit track. And this is one of the reasons why I want to do this in live stream format, because now I can sit back and talk to the chat because it's going to take, a minute to do it. And then we have to solve. So we'll see how that goes. Spot this. All right. So 2 minutes. And this is the downside using as many track marks as I did. But I wanted to show that you don't have to sit there and like limit your track marks. It doesn't take that much longer. So let it do its thing. If it takes much longer, I'll go back and reduce track marks. I just saw that, Dave, what you just posted in Discord. That's interesting. That's a cool. I can't wait till you to showcase that. It's funny actually. I'm about to chuckle about that. Are you using an eGPU? No. Well, here's the thing. Nuke works off your CPU to begin with, but no, I am not using an eGPU. So it's one of those things. Not yet. It's one of the big things that we've been asking for in Nuke is for GPU setup. But no, it does not. But that's not what Nuke is really for. Nuke is not meant to do. You're not meant to do these. You're not meant to do everything in Nuke, if that makes sense. So like we want to work outside of Nuke to begin with. Okay, let me see here. Almost there. Let's see one of the challenges of streaming to YouTube. See, on Twitch, you don't have to worry about doing like all your. I mean, you do now, but like your tags and stuff per stream. But here you do, which I get it. I totally get it. So, okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead and dive into that. I'm just going to save on this real quick. I'll just update that over time. Hopefully that doesn't interrupt the stream. It shouldn't interrupt the stream. But anyways, all right, so we're not quite done yet. We have a track. The next thing I want to do is I want to come in and just solve it. This shouldn't take too long. Again, I've used so many features, but we'll just let that go. This is the downside. This is the good side and the downside of live stream. If you don't have a lot of people in your chat and you're doing these processes, then you're like, oh, what am I going to do for this video, right? But kind of works out. Don't make much difference except when it's something people might misspell. Yes and no. I can tell you right now, like the discoverability of some of my YouTube videos skyrocket just because of search functions. So, yeah. Cool. All right, that should be good. Yeah, that's true. But YouTube has been getting pretty smart. Google has been getting pretty smart with it. So I do like the ability to fly. Oh, sorry, that was loud. Failed to calculate all keyframes. That's fine. Okay, so some of the keyframes failed to calculate. Also, keep in mind this was tracking all the way through 209, I think, actually, without realizing it because I didn't actually crop or truncate this, but that's fine. All right, I actually have a really good error. 0.79 is incredibly good, and I actually had a really good error the first time that I did this, but we can actually improve upon this. I tried to get this error down to 0.5, 0.6. In Nuke is where I'm usually happy. 0.7, I'm not that unhappy. Anything above 1, though, I'm like, all right, let's improve this. Depends on the shot, though. It's a shot-by-shot basis. So the computer is in desperate need of English. Oh, dude, English and for Nuke and Houdini and Maya, like And the reality is, by the way, the #1 market for my YouTube channel for Houdini and Nuke is all in India. Oh, and After Effects is all in India, believe it or not. And that's because in India, there's a huge boom for Bollywood and just low-end visual effects and a lot of tech art because that's what they do. They already do tech. So yeah, it's lots of Hindi out there. All right, anyways, let's come over here now and let's modify our tracks. So what I want to do is come over here to the auto tracks, and I'm going to go ahead and just delete the rejected. Those are these red ones up here. And I'm going to delete the unsolved and just kind of let it do its thing. Hopefully I don't crash. Yes. All right, the rejected are gone. We'll delete the unsolved. You see my error might actually change too. Just be aware. But yes, lots of Hindi out there for sure. Yes. I'm regretting going with such insane amounts of track marks. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to just go ahead and increase my minimum length here to 11. I want the track marks to be on for a while. 11, I'm just kind of guessing 11 for right now, so we'll see what we get. I want to actually do a max track error of only 2. Since we have a solve error of 0.79, that means I've got some tracks out there that have some incredibly low errors. So I don't need all 2,500 to be successful here. So max error there, max track error. Let's bring the max error down. You'll see I'm getting quite a few X's here. But let's go ahead and hit delete rejected. And I am running quite slow, and I wonder if it is because of the live stream. And look at that, 0.49. That's really good. So I'm just going to do a quick refine solve on my position and my rotation. Might not have too much of an effect. Might have an effect. We'll see. .48, gain myself 0.01. I'm really happy with this track. So let's take a look here. Really, really good track. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I need to pick an origin here. So and in a ground plane. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick one of these track marks. And the downside is this is grass, and I don't have measurements. If I had measurements, this would make sense. If I was on set, I would get measurements between track marks or 2 different distances, like between trees here. And then I could say this tree was this distance from the camera at this time. So a good visual effects supervisor and a good visual effects consultant will do a good job of giving you this data. We don't have that for this shot, so we're playing a lot of guessing game here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right-click here, and actually, instead of that, let's do it this way. I'm going to just lasso drag. I have to zoom in to do this. I'm just going to like rectangular drag quite a few of these. Actually, I'm going to do it over here because this guy's going to come across and he's going to delete these track marks. So let's just do it here. And I'm just going to go ahead and create. Let's see if Nuke is smart enough. It should be. In Synthesize, I'm able to get over this. So okay, let's just come over here. We're going to go ahead and hit set ground plane set selected, and then I'm going to pick one of these. Ground plane set origin, and let's see what I get. I may have to do some maneuvering here, but if we come back here to the camera tracker now, I can actually create my scene. So right now they have the new beta nodes out. I'm in Nuke 14, I think. I think in 15 they're no longer beta, but since I'm in 14, I'm going to use the original ones. So we're going to go ahead and turn this off, but make sure your output is linked. That way, when I make changes to my scene, it updates here. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here to where it says camera. We're going to go to Scene Plus. And I'm going to hit create. And it's going to create this whole scene for me. Let's move my viewer down. I'm going to go ahead and disable my track cloud for right now. And what's happening is it's like we told it to. It's creating me an undistorted plate. So this is the undistortion here of my plate. And that is accounting for the glass essentially. Now, in visual effects, oftentimes what we will do is we will get the distortion information of the lens that's being used by either using a grid chart or the data from the lens, from the manufacturer of the lens. In this case, we don't have it, so Nuke is actually guessing a little bit here. It's not like 100% of a guess, but it's calculating it off of the color information and any stretching. So it's not perfect, but it's going to get the job done. However, what I want to do is I actually want to disconnect this. And actually, yeah, I want to disconnect this. And I just want to go directly into my backplate. So to do that, for now, we'll just go ahead and I'm going to put a period here so I can do this better. It's going to get messy at first. We clean this up later as far as our organization. But there we go. So just be aware of that. Okay. I'm putting back the distortion for right now, and I'm just going to disable it. Give that a second. Cool. So I have my track marks here. I have my ground plane. Let's go ahead and tab in to my 3D scene. And you'll see that I get that issue where it's upside down. So how do I fix this? Well, there's a couple of ways. So I can come back into my camera tracker. Okay. We'll see. We'll jump into my camera tracker, and then let's come in here to the scene. And what I can do is under the rotate, if we go, so if you look at your x-axis right here, that's what we're on. It should be on the z, but we're actually on the x-axis. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate 180 and see what we get. And there we go. We're now right side up. And the ground plane's actually pretty good. I'm going to increase my scale here to, let's say, 50, just so that we can see this a little bit better. And there we go. Okay, so I have that tracked out pretty good. Now, what I usually do here is I don't like bringing all of these track marks into Nuke. Oh, I just finished lecturing, so I don't like bringing my track marks into Nuke per se. So what I'm actually going to do is I want to bring in some geo that I can use for location. So let's go ahead and just do a cylinder. Okay, we'll bring the cylinder in here, put this under the scene. Okay, and I'm just going to move this cylinder in Z space. I want this on the origin here. So just move it up. And let's go ahead and increase the scale. So I'm closing top and bottom. Let's go increase the scale here. Just use my middle mouse to drag. Just so that we have that there. That's not quite on the ground plane. I want the grass to be on the ground plane. So if we come in here to the camera tracker under Z, I'm just going to go ahead and rotate this here. Okay, it's not bad. And I think I need to rotate on Z just ever so slightly. Wait a second, I'm going really slow. Okay, that works. Cool. We'll just assume that's the ground plane. We'll probably have to come in and actually refine this quite a bit. But I want the cylinder there so that I know where my creature will be when I bring it in later. That's not exactly accurate, but it'll work for now, and I can always maneuver it later. Again, my scene scale isn't perfect, but anyway, so once I have that, I'm actually going to come over here and disable this camera tracker point cloud. I'm going to disconnect it for right now because I don't want it to export with my my scene. Okay, so I'll move this here. Interesting. That's an interesting. It's not a bug. Where is that coming from? I'm getting the point cloud without it actually being connected. Never actually seen that before. I don't know if that's a bug or what, but anyways. Okay. So I have my cylinder here. There you go. Now it's gone. I have this disabled. It'll probably bring them in now that, so whatever. It is what it is. And then what I want to do is I want to export out an undistorted plate here. So this is an undistorted plate. I'm going to go ahead and write. out JPEGs. I don't need high res JPEGs for this. So, or high res images for this. So I'm just going to use JPEGs. So we'll just come in here and you'll see that I have this UD already, and I've already taken the liberty to actually render out this undistorted plate. But I'm going to show you how I do it. So we'll do a new folder here. We'll do shot 5 plate undistorted 2, just so that I know which that one is. And then we'll do shot 5 UD. And then we'll use this little function here, %04D. That just means 4 padding. Actually, 4D is kind of insane. We'll do 03D, okay? Dot JPEG. And then Nuke is smart enough to know what you're actually doing. I'll just leave the quality at 0.75. There's literally no reason to have insane quality JPEGs because we're just doing this to see in Maya. And then I'm going to go ahead and render the global, which is 108 frames, and we'll hit OK. It should be pretty quick. Shouldn't take too long. But it's just undistorting the plate. All right, that's done. So next thing I want to do is get the geo out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a right geo from the scene out right here. And what I'm going to call this is, as you can see, I already have a bunch of geometry already outputted. I have an assets folder here. We'll just leave it here, and we'll call this tutorial since I know what it is. Nuke scene match move. We'll call this .fbx. And then I'm going to go ahead and come up here and hit execute. Global is fine. And we're just going to execute that. And everything here should get rendered out. I have my cylinder out here, so I have something to take note of where I'm at in Z space. I'll probably would put more geo out here in the future, but this will work. And at this point, we are almost ready to go into Maya. But there's one other thing that I want to do, and I don't have to necessarily go and export it super high res since I do have PNGs. But I want to come over here and take this and export out a high res frame 108 plate. So we'll do another right node here. And for this one, I'm going to come in and I'm going to we'll just do it here. And I'm going to do this as shot 5 plate high res 108 dot TIFF. I'm going to do a 16-bit. I don't need a 32-bit. No point. RGB is just fine. We'll hit render. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to custom and just type in 108 and just render out that one frame. And then what I do is I bring that plate in here, TIFF, and this is the original right here, frame 108, and then I clean it out. I also want you guys to take note that I did not use the undistorted plate. And I did that intentionally because it's easier to paint and I don't have any stretching. But sometimes you will want to use the undistorted plate for this. It really depends on a shot by shot basis. And I know people are going to watch this later and be like, you should be using the undistorted plate. There are no hard rules in visual effects. Okay. There are different techniques that are going to give you better looks. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, so this is what I did. I just painted this out using content aware. And so I just lassoed the soldier out, moved him over here, and just did content aware a couple of times until I got this. I worked destructively because I saved this back into itself. So there we go, background right here. Once that's done, I have that. I can use this for later. So soldier frame 108, clean plate TIFF. I don't even know where I saved it though. So we'll hit save as. And I saved it under my assets. So it's here in my assets. Cool. Now we're ready to go into Maya. Now I already have a Maya scene file here with this object. I'm just going to go ahead and hide this object here. Okay. But let me show you guys how I actually was able to do this. So I'm going to go to my perspective camera here. And you'll see that I have this track already brought in. Let me show you guys how to actually do that from a fresh scene. So I'm going to go File, New. Don't save, because I did so much work on this earlier. And let's just go ahead and start setting up the scene. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to import. Now, if you're on a big production, you're probably not importing, you're probably referencing. But for this project, I'm just going to go ahead and import. And if I back up here, it takes a while for my D drive to load in Maya for some reason. I don't know if this is an issue with Maya because it's only Maya that I have this issue in. But anyways, we'll come over here to assets. And right here is where I saved out my scene. So we'll import that. And you'll see that the locators did not come in. Great. I did not want my locators. Let's come into the camera. So go panels, perspective, and we'll view this attribute editor. Let's come down here to my environments, create. And let's go ahead and put that sequence in that we have. So we'll come up here to footage. Like I said, it's just been running pretty slow for a couple of days. So anyways, footage, shot 5. And so I have my high res plate. Oh, I accidentally... Oh, I put it in here. And here would be that undistorted plate that I just made. So let's just go ahead and import that. We'll open that, put that in here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use image sequence, and then I need to offset it by 1. Because again, well, I guess Maya already went to 0, so I don't need to offset it. We'll just leave it at 0. Cool. And there we go. I now have the image, I have the guy, and here is the tube. And you can see how good this track is. That tube is not moving, which is what you want to see in a good match move. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to bring in my crag. So let's go ahead and go File, and we'll import this guy as well. Don't know if he's in Assets. He might be in Houdini. Let me see. So that's the wrong one. We'll come here, VFX projects. Oops, wrong project. All right, so he's not in here. He is probably in Houdini. And there he is, crag out. So let's go ahead and grab him. And I believe this is it, FBX import. Hopefully. There he is. Let's see if he's animated. He is. This is the dude. All right, let's move him around. Now, thankfully, that animation is contained inside this, so all I have to do is move him around. And to do this better, I'm going to group him, and we'll call this crag group. But yeah, geo crag. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and modify and center pivot. Oops, I'm actually moving camera 1, so let's just hit the back bracket. Let's go to perspective. Okay. And since I know this, let's go ahead and just make him bigger. DV here. Okay. W, I'm going to use X, snap him to the origin. Let's just rotate him around. I'm going to move him back towards this cylinder here. So to do that, what I can do is just hit W, V, snap here. And now I can take the cylinder and hide it. I might need to move him up. So let's go ahead and move him up a little bit. What I can do is now do a plane. Cool. And he's a little too high. So let's come here and just drop him there and see what that looks like. So we'll come back here to camera 1 and play. His feet are on that. And boom, he's hitting the ground. It's not quite facing where I want him to face. So let's fix that. There we go. So now I have my crag in, and I have my ground plane. Let's go ahead and call this geo ground. Now, in the future, I'm going to need to detonate the ground, and so I want to project a texture off of this this geometry here. So we want to actually make sure that this actually works. So let's go ahead and set that up now. First things first, before I do anything else, let's come in here to perspective, and I want to give this UVs. So we'll go to my UV editor, and I'll just create automatic. You guys can't see my UV editor, so I'll just bring it over here. Create automatic. That's not what I wanted. Still not giving me what I want. All right, so we'll do it this way. Let's modify freeze transformations. Modify freeze transformations. Let's try this again. Create automatic. There we go. I do not know why my UVs are showing up this way. There we go. Cool. And then we'll just move the UVs here over. So kind of centered. It doesn't really make a difference for this, by the way. You do need UVs for this to work, though. So just be aware. Okay, so I have my UVs on. I'm going to delete my history. And here's what we got. So soldier, UVs, everything. Now, I have that clean plate that I created. Let's get it in here into Maya. Now, I did it on frame 108. So I'm going to move this to frame 108. And then I'm going to come over here to my camera 1. And I'm going to hit duplicate. So Control D. And let's rename this. Projection Cam 108. And it's important to understand that this camera now will not be animated. This will just be a projection camera. Okay. Then what we're going to do is give this a material. So I'm going to right click, come down here, assign new material. And for this, I like using just the surface shader. So we'll click on the surface shader. Let's give this a matte projection matte. Okay. And under the out color, let's click on the checker box icon, and then we're going to give a file. But this is important, very key important step that most people mess up. Right click on the file, and then come down here and create it as a projection. When you do that, you're going to get this projection placement. Switch this to perspective. Okay. And then under the camera projection attributes, you want to come down here and link this to your projection camera. Okay. Now, we don't have any image on yet, so let's give it an image. And if I back up here, let that load. Give that a second. And then if we go here to the assets, I have that clean plate TIFF that I created. We'll hit open. And then if I hit 6, there is my texture. Okay, so if I come down here now and I go to camera 1, this is what it looks like. We're still not there yet, but now I have my my texture in. Okay, and again, it's not one-to-one just per se. It's close, but yeah, a couple things that I want to do is while I'm here, I want to go to the Place 2D Texture 3 node, and I want to turn off. Here's what I want to do. I want to turn off the Wrap U and Wrap V, and this will give me this. Because it'll look better. Okay. And now we're coming up to there. But this is still not usable yet. Let's say if you want to go into Houdini. So in order to go into Houdini from this point, you would need to bake this texture. And so this is where the UVs come into place. So let me go ahead and come over here and show you how to do this. So the first thing you want to do is open up the Hypershade. Let me go ahead and save this real quick. Just give it a random name because I'm going to delete this after this tutorial. And you'll see that my Hypershade is a little bit of a mess right now. So just give it a second. I'm just going to create a new Hypershade window. And I'm going to click on my box. And I'm going to graph viewport. And you'll see that the projection camera created this material into this projection node into my matte projection right here. This is the material. Okay. So this is the textures. This is the material. So a neat little trick that you guys can do here, though, is we can actually bake these textures in Maya down into the UVs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Geo Grounds, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and click on my shader here. And we're going to go up here to Edit, Convert File, Texture to Maya Software. Click on the box. Now, I do this quite often. That's why my settings are set. But the first time you do this, you'll have to set your settings. So I'm going to set this to a 4096 TIFF. Okay. And I don't really take too much of this in. It does matter if you need to bake the actual lighting in, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter. And I'm just going to go ahead and convert and close. Give that a second to cook. And if you did this right, you should be able to see. Let's open up the hyper shader real quick so I can show you guys that. You will see that we get a new shader group here and new projection map. And if I wanted to, I can map this into the surface shader, and it's up to date. Let's open up my UV so you guys can see it. Okay, show the image, and there you go. So now it is baked into your UVs, which means now if I go into any other software, whether it be Unreal, whether it be Houdini, 3ds Max, wherever I go, I now have this baked into my UVs. And so you can use this now. And so hopefully that's helpful for anybody that wants to learn match moving and integration and how to use the projection in Maya. This is useful for shading and lighting artists who don't have time to go and make materials to try and match. You can use the real-time data. Now, just be aware with this shot, you're going to have a little bit of stretching, okay? But we can fix that in Final Comp with a few tricks. At least now I have something that I can go give to my dynamics artist who is going to destroy the ground when my creature here hits the ground with his mighty hammer. So yeah, fun little live stream, fun little walkthrough here. Like I said, I didn't broadcast this live stream. I kind of just went live to kind of just hang out. Hopefully you guys found this fun and enjoyable. I know a few guys were hanging out earlier. I know Micah was there and Dave was there, but I don't know who is still there. Oh, I guess you can see that in StreamYard. That's pretty cool. And I did that in 46 minutes. I thought I could do it in an hour, and I did it even faster. So 46 minutes. Just responding to some family text here, but I'm probably going to end the stream pretty soon. But yeah, so quality at 720 looks good on my phone. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it probably looks good on the phone. Live streams at 720 are not bad. I do miss streaming in 1080, but that's just because of the account that Dave and I are using. It's Dave's account. I'm bumming off of him right now. Again, like this is still like so much easier to live stream here. I don't know what it'll be like on a larger screen. I'll be able to check it later on the TV behind me. I'll just check it later. So, but anyways, I'm working out a schedule to actually live stream in the future. Just random stuff, whether it be React stuff or just hang out and just kind of just build the artist community back up post-pandemic. So we'll see how that goes. I know like a lot of the people that I had that were with me all the time as far as artists, they're not really around anymore. So I'm trying to reconnect with them, but we'll see. I'm going to try and schedule a regular time to live stream. I think that will be very beneficial, one, to my brand, but also just to people out there who want to get in and do this kind of stuff. Little update on some of the stuff that I have done before I go off. I did lecture today in VFX1. So we had our third class this week. And today I introduced the students to Pyro, and we did this little fun thing in VFX1. I won't lie, this is my favorite class to teach. This is the first time I've actually taught this class for LA Film. And this is by far my favorite class to teach. I've loved VFX for forever. And that's why you're starting to see more Houdini stuff on my channel now. It's like, all right, it's time. I need to start posting this. I know After Effects and Premiere will always sell on my channel, but the reality is I love visual effects. That's where my passion is, even though I know I'm good at the rest. So, yeah, really excited for the things to come. Again, my schedule's a little hectic. I'm working on it. I don't know what my June schedule looks like. Summer's going to be pretty crazy, or I'm going out of town a lot. But yeah, should be fun. So, but yeah, did a little bit of a match moving and integration. Highly requested on my channel. I've actually had multiple people ask me how to do this technique through Nuke. And you can see that I did that relatively easy, and it came in pretty good. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You can, after this post, feel free to leave a comment or two, and we can go from there. There's, there's always questions to be asked, and so there's no dumb questions. Feel free to ask them. I love answering them. I love helping you guys out. But until next time, guys, remember, always be creating.